Hey everybody, welcome to the Resistance broadcast. I'm John. Thank you for joining us today. Obi-Wan Kenobi. The series is coming out in 18 days, if I did the math correct. I believe it is Monday, May 9th. We are very excited that not only are we 2 weeks away from going to California, the three of us together as a team for Star Wars Celebration, but also Obi-Wan Kenobi's coming out, and what has already come out, the final, we think, official trailer, as they call it, of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. A short trailer, but we're going to give our speculation, our thoughts, our takes, everything on that on this episode a little bit later in the Resistance Report. But first, hi everybody, I'm John, James and Lacey with me as always.
Hello.
May the 4th has come and gone. We did our special May the 4th episode. We had 3 episodes last week, so hopefully people didn't get sick of us. James, are they sick of us?
I think yes, actually. Fact. No.
It was fun while it lasted, Lacey, wasn't it?
It was crazier than I expected. You know, in past years, we've definitely had May the 4ths that were a little less lackluster in the sense of like announcements and news and stuff.
Yeah.
And this one went hard. And I'm okay with that. But
yeah,
little still
cool.
in like awe of this is just getting started. Like we don't even know what's coming in a couple weeks.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. I sometimes forget about that fact that we may get our minds blown with new announcements.
I don't think
we may not.
I think we will.
I hope so. But in terms of, real quickly, in terms of Star Wars Celebration, just a reminder to everyone who might be going to Celebration, we're doing our big event on Saturday, May 28th at Radiant Beer Co., just a couple miles from the convention. We are doing a happy hour from 5:30 to 6:30, followed by our live podcast, which thank you to everybody who has already RSVP'd. We are humbled and so happy and excited about the numbers that are coming in. If you haven't yet, definitely RSVP. But just so you know, the event is free. It's for all ages. Come hang out with us and let's make it a party at Radiant Beer Co. Saturday, May 28th during Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim. We are very excited and we promise it's going to be an awesome time, a fun show. We can't wait to hang out with everybody. Next up, just real quickly, because you know we're going to spend a lot of our time talking about the Kenobi thing, the Disney Gallery that got buried by Star Wars. A lot of people glossed over this. I think because of the Kenobi trailer and stuff like that. I don't think because it was bad, but Disney Gallery did come out. They called it the first episode or season 1 or whatever for Book of Boba Fett, but who knows if they're going to do more. It was about an hour or so. A lot of cool stuff in it. I have a bunch of favorite parts. Obviously, the Rancor thing was a big deal. Realizing how practical they were with it and how important they felt it was to see a different side of the Rancor instead of this giant, just menacing beast. So that was really cool. The Mark Hamill stuff and Ming-Na Wen's knowledge of Star Wars was really impressive. She knew the droid 8D8. That's not something like people who say they like Star Wars, like, oh, Stormtrooper. Oh, that's Boba Fett. She knew 8D8. Like, that's a deep cut. So, Ming-Na Wen, cheers to you for being a really serious Star Wars fan. But, James, did you have any favorite spots from the gallery? I
mean, to be honest, like, if you watched our gallery episode on Mandalorian Season 2, or when we talked about that, you're going to know immediately it was the Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker face replacement, the visual technology that they were doing. I was just like, I was watching the whole thing like, wow, this is awesome. I'm really liking this. And then like, I see like one quick scene of Mark Hamill. They kind of showed him early because they were talking about Rosario Dawson and stuff.
That actor is insane though. The body double. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So it's like,
forget Sebastian Stan. Get that
guy looks incredible. Not that the first guy didn't do a good job, but
yeah, totally. But then like as soon as the like Mark Hamill stuff really started happening, I was like, oh, here we go, because they're early, in the episode, they're gonna get into it, and they totally did. They showed like a lot of stuff with it, and to me, I was almost completely jaw dropped when they started talking about how they hired the deep fake guy from Twitter, you know, or like, you know, or YouTube
Because we
and stuff.
spoke to Hal about it.
I know. And I was like, this is so nuts. Like they're literally going on there and they're like, yeah. And then we like found this guy who was like doing stuff on the internet. You might know him as this and stuff. And I'm like, that is just nuts. That's like that. I remember we were reporting on that, like kind of like a rumor as a background. And I was like, how is this guy getting, like, he's not even in it. You know, they don't even talk about it. They talk about him, but he doesn't show up. He's not on camera. They don't ever show him. And I'm like, or at least to my knowledge, they don't, but like he might be like in the background or something. But it was absolutely crazy to me that they like kind of called that out and they were like, yeah, we tried to do it this way and the technology wasn't there. And then this dude came along and he was legit and everything changed after we got him. And I was like, that's nuts. I can't believe they're saying that on this official Disney release of like how they did the effects. That's
the
crazy.
only reason they knew the technology existed when they did Mandalorian season 2, but they couldn't get it at the pixels and
the resolution
they needed it. The resolution they needed to. Yeah. So it's just nuts. Now, you know, we may, revisit this later, but Kenobi's going to be our focus. But Lacey, anything that stood out to you, any clips or moments that tugged at your heartstrings or anything you found interesting from gallery?
Yeah, as usual, it's always about the connections for me, like the kind of personal connections people have with Star Wars and the moments between actors and directors and people involved. The Rosario Dawson stuff was just awesome. And the Ming-Na Wen stuff was awesome, where Ming-Na Wen's like, I'm freaking out right now because she's sandwiched between Jon Favreau and Mark Hamill and Tamora Morrison. Like, that would be me. And it's just like you see yourself replicated on screen where you're like, oh my God, I geeked out about this. They're geeking. It makes you care about the projects even more. And I think that's why us as fans get so protective sometimes, that we just want to keep going with the projects and care about them because they care about them.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that was really interesting to me in particular on that was, it was kind of one of those things where I felt like I had been saying it all through Book of Boba Fett when fans continued to kind of complain about like this episode wasn't that great or whatever. I was always like, it is crazy. Like what you were looking at on screen is like a Rancor and the Hutts and you know, Brock Chrysanthemum and all this stuff. And it was really good and fulfilling to see Robert Rodriguez talk about like those final episodes. Which is what we were waiting for. Final episode.
Yes.
And he's like, it was crazy. Like we had this character and this character and this character and these people and all this. And he's like, this final episode is basically a movie in itself, you know? And I was like, I know, like we were saying that. And it felt a little refreshing to see the Book of Boba Fett in one way or another sort of get the
redemption. It's kind of like redemption
or
from the
recognition.
online critics. Yeah.
Yeah. There's always kind of this sense, you know, that people forget, like when we're watching an actual piece of property, like, and like the prequels or like the sequels, you know, and all this go into it too. We watch it and we analyze it and we get there. And a lot of people are like, yeah, it wasn't really that great or it didn't deliver. But it's like, yeah, but separate yourself from all the little things. And just remember like the story and the situation, and what was being told, and like put it together like as a little montage. And you're like, man, yeah, it was good. Like it was really good. And I'm really glad that it happened. So yeah, it was really cool to see, you know, those people that care so much about it, Filoni, Favreau, Rodriguez, you know, like standing there, Bryce Dallas Howard, you know, like recapping, how they got to work on it and really pinpointing all the things. Like I couldn't believe I got to work on this thing because it was so magical and great. And I'm like, it was magical and great, you know, like it really did feel like it was like, it sure did. See that social media, like see that Star Wars fans, like
speaking of
very
magical,
fulfilling. Yeah.
Did you guys see how magical that Darth Vader helmet is from Hasbro? John, you might need to get a new helmet. You might have to upgrade.
Yeah, mine's just like a plastic shell. Mine does say Lucasfilm Ltd on it, which is cool, but yeah.
It's cool, guys. Like they announced a bunch of stuff on their fan first live stream, but probably the coolest things were, for me at least, I know people are going to argue they like troop building, world building stuff, but always the cosplay pieces for me, the lightsabers and helmets and stuff like that always tend to be like that much cooler to me because you get to be part of the world. So the Darth Vader helmet comes in pieces. It has an airlock sound when you put it together. It has all the details.
Oh my God.
You could wear it in half, which here you go, guys. So here's the thing that I don't know if a lot of people picked up on. So the helmet comes apart to an underneath part, and then the underneath part splits in half. The packaging is Obi-Wan Kenobi specific packaging.
Mm-hmm.
So why would the helmet split in half?
Yep.
Just thinking. Just thinking.
Half like where you can see the eyeballs,
like
or something?
this, like across the face.
Yep,
it splits in half, so you can wear it. And they even mentioned on the live stream, they're like, "Oh, you could split it in half, so you can see it." And I'm like, and no one's talking about this.
In the middle of that duel, he's gonna take that thing off.
Yeah, so you see the top of his head. Yeah,
he's gonna say, "Look at me! Look what you did to me!" Like, yeah.
And the other really cool thing, before we get into Kenobi, obviously the big trailer, is they did release.
What happened?
I know, right? The announcement for a Kenobi lightsaber, which people are really pumped about. Force Effects lightsaber. It is a beautifully done lightsaber. It's for Kenobi now, the series now. It's not like a prequel one. So like the one you're getting at this time is the one that he's using in the series. So it's like a little weathered. It has different sounds. It has a new battle mode where if you get someone to fight with you, it will like hold another person's lightsaber. It's really, really cool. But that Vader helmet is awesome.
Nice. Yeah, when I first saw the new Vader helmet, I was like, didn't they just do it? But then when you hear about all the minutia of it and the new details, it's insanity. Yeah, crazy.
I'm interested to see even more about the splitting in half. Honestly, like I'm
head over to StarWarsNewsNet.com. I pulled together all the latest announcements from that.
Yeah, there you go.
Speaking of StarWarsNewsNet.com, I did a full written breakdown and speculation. So I'm going to sort of probably in the next segment give my verbal version of that. So go check out my review there. I even included a GIF from Easy A in my review. I doubt anyone else who did a Kenobi written review did that. And Lacey, I guess we talked. So it's great minds think alike because you were going to do something similar, right?
Easy A is one of my favorite movies.
It's a funny movie.
John had mentioned to me, "Oh, I have a GIF in my thing about the Kenobi thing," and I was like, and he's like, "It's from Easy A." I was like, "Is it ooh burn?" And he's like, "Yes."
And we'll talk about why
burn.
in this next segment. So James, what are we doing?
It's the Resistance.
Well, that sound is the beginning of Resistance Report, and I'm pretty sure that I don't need to tell anybody what we're talking about, but we are going to talk about the Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer. So the thing is like, what I personally just right off the top is like, I think we, as Star Wars fans generally are like, where's the trailer? Where's the trailer? Where's the trailer? And for me personally, like, I didn't think we were going to get a trailer on May the 4th. Because we got the other one, and I know how they keep things close to the heart. Yeah. And I have to be honest with you, I think like even that morning, I think someone was talking about how we might be getting, or like, do you think we'll get a Kenobi trailer? And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess maybe. And then they like very quickly were like, we're dropping one today. And I was like surprised, actually. I was like, oh shoot, like a new trailer. That's crazy. And just to like, quickly summarize it, like I was a little surprised it was short, but it's also kind of the same length as the other one. It's also very similar in tone, but there's a lot of really cool stuff in here. But I don't really know if we want to do like a round robin, like I guess like a quick things just right away. Like John, what were your first thoughts when you either watched it? Well, we should say that too. you guys both did reactions. So if you haven't,
I did a
had the
non-reaction
opportunity,
reaction.
yeah, John actually watched the whole thing, and at 3 points he said like, "Wow," and like, Owen, like that was like
that's it. Yeah, that was it.
Like I think he made like 3 sounds. But no, you talked a little bit about it, and then Lacey watched it twice and noticed a couple other things that mentioned things like our exclusive on the droid. It's in the trailer. Check it out. We'll talk about that. But yeah, you guys did your reactions. So if you haven't seen those, go check them out. John, what was your first thought on like the announcement and the watching it?
Yeah, first off, I love the poster they put out, which that's what they do now, is they put a poster that pairs along with the release of a trailer.
And episodes, seemingly.
Yeah.
They've been doing that lately.
Yeah. And the poster of, the 2 sons, Obi-Wan looking to his left, and right in the center on a plateau is Darth Vader, right where Obi-Wan's heart would be. So that's a pretty deep poster, so I'm going to be trying to get that one up on the wall. But in terms of this trailer, I really enjoyed it for a lot of reasons. One, because it was short. It didn't really give us too much. I feel with this series, since it's going to be such a short series, I don't need more. So I'm sure they'll pepper us with the TV spots, but I don't need too much more. Some of the things I noticed in the first watch, obviously the Vader stuff, I really feel the juxtaposition of Reva screaming and then showing, as she's screaming, like, you can't escape him, showing the assembly of Darth Vader with his limbs, his chest plate and stuff. It gave me chills up my spine, and the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. And I know, with me anyway, and maybe other fans too, that will be a permanent feeling now. Every time I watch this trailer, I will revisit how I felt when I first saw it, and that's a powerful thing. So that's the first thing that stuck out to me, is the permanence of what that moment could be. And I gotta say, and I put this in my written review too, I love the fact that they did not show Hayden's face as Anakin. They could have. They didn't show Darth Vader's helmet. They could have. Now we all know what both of those things look like. We know what Hayden looks like as Vader. We know what Darth Vader's mask looks like. Of course, the most recognizable thing in Star Wars. But the fact that they hid it shouldn't feel fresh, but it does. And I just love the fact that they did that, because when we first see him in Kenobi, it's still going to feel like a big reveal, even though we know exactly what he looks like. And that's a pretty magical thing that they're doing here. Other things that stood out, obviously the planet Dayu is going to be a big deal. I do think we might be in one of those situations, and I'm trying to connect dots here, and I love to do this about trailers when I look at trailers and compare it to other photos that came out from like EW, our scoops, a lot of things. So I'm trying to connect a lot of dots. I think the Inquisitors are going to arrive on Tatooine just as, like they're just going to miss Obi-Wan, or they're going to be hot on his tail and he's just going to narrowly escape. A very classic Star Wars trope, the narrow escape. The first time we saw it, it happened on Tatooine as the Millennium Falcon got to escape and get away from the stormtroopers in 1977. I think we're in for one of those, and then they're going to follow his trace to that planet that Lacey loves more than anything in the world. The very Blade Runner-y planet. So,
it's just something that I can't see on Earth. I think that's what is drawing me so much to it, is like I can go to a desert and see Jakku, and I can see Tatooine, but I can't see that planet anywhere on Earth. I mean, maybe like Korea.
They say Hong Kong influence, but
But I'm saying like specifically, it's something I've never seen before.
Yeah, and also some of the shots, just like, because Ewan McGregor, he's a good-looking guy, especially for his age, and just some of those shots with those shadows, they're really doing. Deborah Chow is doing a really good job of slowly melding him and Alec Guinness, where some of these shots I'm like, wow, like that is organically done. It's very interesting. But it was a really good clip. I want to have a chance for you guys to come in before I give any other thoughts and talk about like some of the confirmed scoops we have, and there were a few. So Lacey, I don't know what stood out to you the most. But those are my initial like things.
Yeah, the first thing, obviously, Dayu, I say it all the time. It's like the coolest thing I've ever seen in Star Wars, and it's just like I saw the 1313 project running around again, and immediately I know James had brought this up last episode that it seemed like it was pulling kind of vibes from that. I love it. I love everything about it. I can't wait to see what that scene, which appears from the trailers to be a chase scene at some point on rooftops and whatnot, is going to be. I found it interesting, the scene where Kenobi is shooting the blaster in the desert. It looks like it's stormtroopers stopped the transport that he's on from the first trailer, and he's off the transport here shooting at them.
Yeah,
that's what I would guess.
And there's a little probe droid behind.
Yeah.
And a stormtrooper knocked out on the side or dead.
That guy's just napping. He's faking it.
So I loved the wanted poster. I thought it was so cool. I'm gonna let James translate that as our language guy. I loved seeing the little droid, especially because we just talked about it last episode. I was like, there it is, exactly what we thought. I have to say though, my favorite part of the trailer, which is probably nobody's surprised at this because everybody thought this because it was trending worldwide as a phrase, like you trained your father or his father was trending on Twitter. The interaction between Owen and Kenobi is literally exactly what I think the three of us thought that would look like. And it's just it's kind of like gratifying as a fan to see what you thought be playing on screen, because you're like, oh my gosh, I really do know these characters very well. Wow, I really am a fan. And that's just something so exciting that I enjoy celebrating in myself. And it's not like a pat on the back thing. It's just like, I really love this, so I get these characters. But yeah, no, that scene, I even in my reaction was like, oh, burn. Like, it was just such like a tense moment, but a very like, I don't know if anybody's ever seen those memes that are like thug life memes where someone will do something and the sunglasses come down. That's what I thought of when Owen said that. Deal with it? Yeah, the deal with it stuff. It was just so good, and I can't wait to see where they go with it. Obviously, like John, the Vader stuff was perfectly done. I don't think it could have been done better in this trailer. The idea of like kind of like the movie monster thing, like the less you see, the scarier it is. Yeah, this trailer was great. I liked it better than the first trailer. It was just really, really awesome. But yeah, I'm excited to see what James thought.
And you know what's funny, real quick? Like remember the first Force Awakens teaser with Finn's head popping up, and that we saw a few quick things, and then it was over with the Falcon? That was 10 seconds longer than this.
Oh, really?
And this is the official trailer of this show. So they are cognizant of the fact that this is a short series. We don't want to put too much in these trailers, but they packed a punch. So James,
I do like the jingling, like little notes, like kind of Spielberg-y that they've been using lately for this. Like the little notes at the beginning to like kind of set the mood. They've been doing that in the Force Awakens.
Yeah. I thought that sounded like the theme for Saw. Like it was like Duel of the Fates, but it was more, I don't know, like dark, a little brooding.
Right.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit before we were recording. I think one thing that was interesting about that music is that it sounds like it's being played on piano, but I think there's like some lower chords that are hitting it like in a different style or key or tonality or something like that that's causing it to sound so different. But I think like the main thing there is that we probably are used to hearing it like in string format, and we not really ever hear a piano version of it in that method. No, I think the cool thing with the second trailer generally is like, what can we add on to what we know from the first trailer and piece things together? And I think this one did a pretty good job. We're seeing new shots of like the inside, the Inquisitorius area and stuff, and I think one thing to me is like we're getting a couple different characters, right? Now I can think of his name.
Kumail Nanjiani.
Yeah. So he's obviously, I mean, I don't want to say he's like just a person, you know, like he might be a Jedi of some sort or something like that, but he looks scared out of his mind. I don't know if that's like he grew up, like maybe he was 20 when all this happened, but he would be a knight by then probably. So that doesn't make sense. So I just got the vibe immediately that he was like a person that lived on Tatooine or whatever planet, you know.
I got confident,
visiting.
like he knows more than he should, and it's going to come back to bite him based on what he had said in his interviews where he was like, oh, mine interacts with, you know, bad guys.
And he also, he's in the shot quickly, but he looks like he's in distress. He does not look like somebody,
I mean, there's another one too, like where you see Reva running next to a ship that looks like it's about to take off, and then like the next scene you see the angle of her like shouting at the ship. So I'm like, okay, so based on the photos and other things we saw, she's at the top of the city. She sees some destruction happening and she goes, okay, they're trying to capture Obi-Wan down there, but I'm up top. I'm seeing the whole picture, the grand picture, right? So then she starts chasing after it. Maybe that's the bounty hunters because he was obviously shooting at Forlom and stuff. It's like she sees the bigger picture. She starts going after him, and there's an actual chase scene where she's chasing him, which then leads to him jumping on that transport and getting away at the last second.
Yeah,
and
you
so
can't hide from him.
but that line, John, you're dead on, man. That line really speaks to me because she says you can't escape him, and I'm like, she's talking to Obi-Wan like she knows Vader is going to catch this guy, but there's so much to that gives me a lot about her character development because she works for somebody. It's like Kira working for Dryden Voss.
Right.
Like, you can't get away. There's no
leaving.
You can't escape. Yeah, you can't escape him kind of thing. And she's even willingly working for it, but it's like, willingly, really, you know? It feels very much like he's so scary that she has said, well, I'm either going to die or I'm going to live. I don't want to do what I'm doing, but I'm choosing to live. You know, I can't escape Vader. You can't escape Vader. You know?
So you think she's a survivor type character? Like, hey, I got to do this. It's either me or you.
Whether she admits that in the show, I think that's what's going on because Vader is they're playing Vader up to be like that scary and that menacing and that just evil incarnate.
I wonder what he's going to do at the beginning because you know he's going to set the tone of the show of how bad he is. I wonder what we're going to see him do.
Or they Jaws him and just talk about him a lot.
Oh, you think
that's what
that
I
might be?
I think for at least for the first half of the series, it's going to be like, ooh, when, and it's going to be one of those where we like sort of just miss him or we hear about him and that sort of thing. But I agree the whole Reva or Reva thing. You know, when you line up the Inquisitors, including, you know, they confirmed it via the official Disney images we got in the press release. That's the fourth sister.
Yep.
On the left of one of those images, looking at that map.
Mm-hmm.
You look at all of them lined up. Reva is the most humanized looking one of them.
Right.
You know, the rest of them look despondent. Where we're not hearing any of them talk except the Grand Inquisitor, and we know he's a bad guy.
She's standing back too. Like they're very, like body language wise, they're like very in it. They're discussing it. She's hanging back a little bit.
So yeah. She could be, you know, the conflicted type here, and I know people speculate on that. Some people don't like hearing that aspect of it, but I'm not sure. But you know, the one line that threw me, and I put it in my review, like everything else seems like I know who that is. I know who that is. I want to hear what you guys think about this. So that line, you still want Kenobi, he's gone. I was guessing that's the Grand Inquisitor talking to Vader.
That's what I thought.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I gotta admit that felt right to me. Why can't I?
Because I knew it sounds like him, and that's the only thing I could think of is that who would he be saying that to? Unless he's saying it to Reva, but I don't think so. I think he'd be saying it to Vader, like, you still want him, he's gone, he's not here. And then Vader saying something like, no, I felt it. I know he's...
And you know what's another thing that's going to be interesting on the flip side, on like the light side? I think we're going to see a lot of internal conflict with Owen, whereas face value in the trailer, people are like, he's going to be 100% against Obi-Wan. Look at them, like he's hitting him right where it hurts the most, and he knows it. All he wants to do is protect Luke. But I thought about that one still from EW where him and Reva are like face to face, where she's basically like trying to shake him down to get information from him. And I think he's going to, in a way, protect Obi-Wan.
Oh, 100%.
He knows Obi-Wan means well, and he knows Obi-Wan's a good guy, but not enough to put Luke in danger and let him train him. So it's that fine line where he's like, I'm not going to give this guy up because I know he's a good guy, but at the same time, I have to keep Luke away from him. So I think we're going to see, I think Joel Edgerton is going to be one of the spotlights of this show coming out of it. I think he
has to thank Kenobi.
A big role.
Kenobi gave him a son. They couldn't have a son, remember? So.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be like everyone's Vader. It's going to be a big deal.
Which makes their death even that more sad, by the way.
That's going to be way worse. But I think he's going to be a shining standout scene stealer coming out of this show because he's already a great actor. Like, it's so lucky. Is it one of those castings in Star Wars when it happened in the prequels? It's like when Ian McDiarmid was cast as a 36-year-old as Palpatine, and how that worked out with all the time. Like them casting Joel Edgerton before he became an established good actor. What luck! And now he's like at the right age for this. I'm really excited to see what they do with that. And of course, like I said, I do want to see some more Baru with Luke, that sort of thing. But
what do you think these? What do you think these pods are? So there's a scene here, and it's like kind of a blink if you miss
droids.
it. So do you think it is?
Mm-hmm.
You hear them. You can hear the man over the fence as they're being shot across through space. You subtly hear the sound. Those are the pods, because at the beginning of Empire Strikes Back, those are the same looking type of pods that shoot out from the Star Destroyer. So they're showing you, they're sending, they're all bets are off. We're pulling out all the stops. We're using probe droids. We're using crappy bounty hunters. We're using good bounty hunters.
They want to squeeze them out, yeah.
They want, the Emperor's probably like, whatever we have, even freelancers, get them. We got to finish the job. Which I also said I think Palpatine is going to be in this series.
I think he is
teasing
too.
It real hard.
Yeah,
I think he is too. I think that character has to show up to. He knows the threat Kenobi is. Yeah, and I think even though Kenobi's been hiding for a good time, he knows that if he was to get kind of like Snoke with Luke, if he was to bring back Jedi, they would be in trouble. So I think that he knows the connection to Vader.
Does Palpatine really think Obi-Wan's a threat?
No, but he could
be
Anakin
then to bring back Anakin.
I'm with Lacey in the sense that he could be after Kenobi. Sometimes Palpatine likes to get to somebody to get to somebody. He may be trying to get to Kenobi to try to find out where Yoda is.
Oh, that could be true too. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I was going to say,
that makes more
Palpatine's
sense.
probably not that worried about Obi-Wan because he's not even really that worried about Yoda since he took him head on and still beat him. I
was saying that it could be this, still the connection to who Anakin was, because he got rid of Padme. Padme's gone, in a sense. Yeah. He got rid of Padme. So the only real connection back to who Anakin was as a person is Kenobi.
Yeah. What a way Palpatine got away with that, by the way. I still think that's so funny. He's like, oh yeah, in your anger, it looks like you killed her.
Yes. And then he does that smile when he's flipping out.
Yeah.
No.
The droid who has the blaster, very K2SO looking.
Yeah.
I love just the side turn, you killed her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
BT dubs.
Exactly. Ned, I haven't seen that posted anywhere, but both trailers very clearly says NED on his front, and now we see it on his back. And I'm like, you don't think they're going to call this character Ned? It says it on his thing.
Now,
on his
do you
body.
think that's O'Shea Jackson Jr.?
That was my prediction from the first time we saw the trailer. I don't remember if you guys reacted to that right or not, but I was like, I guess it could be Kumail, but to me, I saw...
Well, we know it's not now, yeah.
I know that now, yeah. But to me, I immediately just saw that character and I thought, there's something about the body type, and I know it's a droid, but like, for some reason, I feel like it's him in his body type in a suit. Like, or in a motion capture thing, and they're replacing it. But that just is the vibe I felt, and I think it's his voice, and I think the character's name is Ned, although I don't think there's anything official
And he's
on
the good side because he's shooting stormtroopers.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have 4.
I think O'Shea would be pumped on that too. Like, I know they're all pumped to play, like, they're all like, oh, I'm talking bad guys and, good guys, bad guys and stuff. And I was like, oh, I can tell you're a bad guy. Right.
Right. Yeah.
But the way he was talking, he felt like it reminded me of Finn, like Force Awakens, or not Finn, but his
Boyega.
Boyega. Yeah. He was like, a minute, man, Star Wars. Yeah.
Yes, jumping over the couch. Yeah.
I just kind of got this vibe that like he was excited to be a hero in Star Wars.
And it's funny because this series, again, it's one of those things where we know the fates of most of these characters, whether it be the Grand Inquisitor in Rebels or Forlom, we know lives beyond into Empire Strikes Back. Some of the new characters, maybe not so much, but, Owen, we know his fate, Obi-Wan, Vader. So this show isn't trying to fool us. It's not trying to twist us and Shyamalan us or anything like that. It just this show just needs to tell us a good story that will enrich what we already know and make stuff like A New Hope hit different. Like Lacey said about Owen and Beru's death.
Oh my gosh, it's going to hit so hard after the show. And
maybe Obi-Wan's death. Maybe that battle they have in this show will explain why they are like two old men slapping swords in A New Hope. I think they're going to go for that. And then, the other aspect of it is, the little droid and what we know from the reports on Star Wars Newsnet, which, gotta say, we nailed a lot of these.
Oh, the other thing, Hasbro didn't release the Obi-Wan figure, but then Ewan released it later that night. And in the box, you can see the shape of the droid in the upper right-hand corner of the box that they took out of the box. So it's interesting, though, because I remember when we spoke about it, we thought it was Leia's droid, but it seems like it's Obi-Wan's droid.
Well, he doesn't ever recall owning a droid.
Right. I think this is so. I think this hand, because I think the droid is small.
Yep.
And I think this hand see,
the hand was holding it.
Yeah, but I think this hand we see, because it's in a black glove, people think that that's like, oh, the Inquisitor captured the droid or something. Val brought this up to me, and I'm going to agree with him. I think that's Leia's hand. I think that's Leia.
I was looking at it, but it doesn't look like a child-sized hand.
I think it might be. I don't know.
Because she has to be, what, 8, 10?
10.
Yep, 10.
I might be wrong, and she might just have, like, adult-looking hands, but to me, that was the first thing I thought is, oh, that has to be Leia's hand. But then I looked at it, and I was like, it looks a little big to be a 10-year-old's hand.
Yeah, I mean, it was captured, but I do think this is going to be Leia's droid. And, for anyone who's like, oh my God, I can't believe you're talking about Leia in this series. I mean, Leia's going to be in the series. Come on. Bail Organa, I believe, has been reported already. So
I guess my question would be then, why does Obi-Wan seemingly have it as part of his action figure if it's her droid?
So I don't know how much we want to get into things we may have heard via reports on this.
Oh, I'm just asking for us to speculate. I'm not asking
I think there's going to be a separation involved. And, that's kind of what may happen there. But who knows? That does throw me for a loop if that's the case, where that droid is supposed to be in that figure. Which is funny because Ewan McGregor took a shot at Hasbro by saying, like, it doesn't look anything like me.
It really doesn't look like him, which is surprising because I feel like the art on the box and everything and the art on their displays is so him. And they have that photorealism technology that I thought, based on previous figures that they've done, that have looked so much like the character, that it would look more like him. But because the figure's not coming out till 2023 spring, they might have time to fix it.
Yeah. So I think, just seeing the Grand Inquisitor flanked by the third sister and fifth brother on Tatooine, we know they're going to go to the village, confront Owen, confront others. I think Owen's going to stand his ground to show the audience, like I said, that he isn't totally against Obi-Wan. He just doesn't want him to get train Luke. That's it. He has really nothing against him. He thinks he's probably a good guy, but blah blah blah. Someone else will tip them off, a spy or something, and they'll chase him to wherever. And like you said, whether he gets to Anchorhead or not, to leave planet, or you guys think his because what the thing he's standing next to in that shot with the blaster and the stormtrooper that's dead and the probe droid looks yellow. I don't remember his ship in that first trailer looking yellow.
The thing he's sitting on, when it's like that kind of train looking, bus looking thing, it has like an awning to it in the front.
Okay. All right. That's interesting.
I throw it out there, like my opinion on the droid and who the hand is. I still am gonna go with it's an Inquisitor.
Because it's like a woven glove.
My vibe coming off of it is that droid is not being respected in that moment. It looks like it's almost trying to get away.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think if it was Leia or Kenobi, it would be flying there and they would be talking to it or something. There would be no reason to ever pick that droid up.
That's a good point. I agree.
It looks like it's trying to get away.
Oh my god, if they kill that droid on screen after we've fallen for it.
That's the other thing. So I think the reason it was going to be Inquisitor was because I was thinking, Leia, let's say, sends the droid over to Kenobi. Kenobi has the interaction with it where he gets the news or whatever, a hologram of Bail. It doesn't matter what it is. But somehow, this doesn't really make sense. Like, why wouldn't the droid just go with Kenobi? But I was going to say, if that droid falls into the hands of the Inquisitors after we just saw the scene where we were like, this thing is so cute and blah, 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 then there's this added tension of the Inquisitors and what they could do to torture or get information out of that droid.
And it's interesting.
And I think it's going to pull at people's heartstrings so much. So I feel like that hand holding it to me almost already says you're squeezing too hard. Let me go. And it's already tension.
And the interesting thing is Leia's initial story in Star Wars is that she puts plans in a droid and the droid gets away. Poe Dameron puts plans in a droid and the droid gets away. How often does that really happen that the droid doesn't get caught? You know what I mean? How lucky are these people that every single time they give droid information, it does... So maybe this is the instance where it does get caught, which also will escalate the tension and or risk of giving R2 the plans.
Yeah, that's sure. I agree with that. That's a good point. I do think,
and that's where she gets the idea too. She could have gotten that idea from this situation.
Yeah. From what we heard, the idea behind the droid is to be her sort of protector. But I just wonder. It's hard to wrap my head around it. But modern Star Wars trailers don't show the humor, and I do think this show will have its share of humor, just like any Star Wars does. So it's possible, this little guy or whatever it is gets captured and it figures its way out and escapes because they keep it in a cell and it narrows its way through cell bars, or it gets away somehow. I think it will be okay. Sadly, though, I think this droid will meet its fate about 9 years later, based on where it may be from.
Oh,
if you get what I'm
Alderaan?
saying. Yeah. And that will explain why it's not around the original trilogy, which is another thing they have to tackle when they introduce new characters into this series, which is only 9 years away from the original trilogy.
Everybody dies.
Yeah, it's
mentally.
It's
I don't know if
Ahsoka
I've ever
thing,
said
right?
this out loud, but I always think of it as Alderaan Vacation. like as the explanation for any character, they won a free trip to Alderaan, and that's just it.
Yeah.
Like
or Scarif, yeah. So that and I think about, you know, what's going to happen to the other Inquisitors and that sort of that sort of thought, or the other Jedi we may be introduced to, because I do think we are going to see other Jedi, whether it's Kumail Nanjiani or not. But it's a good clip, you know. It goes by really quick, and I just I'm glad that they're keeping things, you know, like I said, they didn't show us Vader when we all know what he looks like. I like that. It builds that suspense, which makes me think they'll mirror that in the show and not give him to us immediately. Build that anticipation. My only question to you guys, do you think the first time we see Vader is when he sees Obi-Wan? Or do you think we'll see Vader and Obi-Wan and it'll be like, that will be the tension built, seeing him here and him somewhere else? Or do you think it'll be, boom, there's Vader, we see him just the way Obi-Wan sees him for the first time, so we feel his shock as the audience?
I think it's coming around a corner, like they've been saying for the past 10 interviews. Like he
but
comes
for
around
us
the corner.
too, I mean, as the audience?
Yeah, I think we see him when Obi-Wan.
That'd be cool. That would be cool.
I actually do not have any clue. I
feel like we'll
said-
hear him a bunch, or maybe see like a glimpse, like a cape or something, or a glove, or like they did in the trailer. But like, I think the full reveal is gonna be this. It's got to be this big occasion that like you're experiencing it with the main character.
A lot of steam.
Are we still on the? Did we all agree that we thought they were going to fight twice?
I think they
people
will,
have
but
said that. I would prefer they didn't. I think that'd be too much, but I think there's probably a chance they will too.
Every time I think about it, I think, oh, okay, well, like almost like a given for some reason that they're going to fight twice. And then I try to write it in and I'm like, but how? How would that work? At what points would they meet up and then Obi-Wan like gets away and then they have another big rematch at the end of the series and Obi-Wan also gets away? Like
the only comparison,
I'm trying to write it and it doesn't seem to work,
is Maul and Qui-Gon on Tatooine. Qui-Gon gets away and then the big showdown at the end.
Yeah. So then like it's very like...
It's like its own teaser. They fight very
Obi-Wan
briefly.
doesn't know Vader's after him. And when Vader does show up, maybe that's the first time it like puts two and two together that's Anakin. And then like two more episodes of him being like, I saw him, that was Anakin. What has he become? Oh my God. And then you have the final face off, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it makes me think maybe they don't succumb to temptation and Anakin's lightsaber isn't involved, because I can't see a situation where Vader goes to Tatooine, and I don't see a situation where Obi-Wan would have any reason to take that lightsaber with him to Daiyu or wherever he goes.
I think they could easily get away with it if he has it stored somewhere and he like looks at it for 2 seconds and then he walks away and the camera just pans down to it, like he leaves it behind. Like that's
in
a
a box.
It's in the little vest or chest or whatever.
Yeah. Well, seemingly he's living in a cave right now, so that's why I was saying like he might not have a homestead yet.
Yeah.
Oh, right. He doesn't have his little house yet.
Yeah. So that's why I was thinking like maybe it's just a pan down and it's a quick nod to, hey, that's where it is. That's why he doesn't have it. But here,
maybe that's how he gets the name Ben. Maybe
he already has it
because of Satine or whatever.
Well, so he says, I haven't gone by Obi-Wan since before you were born. So then he's been calling himself Ben since around the time he was born. So we probably aren't getting the explanation in this story. But then also, I think that book kind of seemingly confirmed a brotherhood, you know, that he says, you know, when he was hanging out with Satine, he was even calling himself Ben then. And that was even before he gave up the Obi-Wan name and Tatooine and all that stuff.
We may get why Ben, but yeah, it won't be like,
maybe, but
not
we're not going to get the sitting at the bar and he says the resistance transmissions we did, you know.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, where you been? He's like, Ben. You're like, kind of thing. Did you guys this is not a big deal.
And like the guy who owned it before him, his mail is like the guy's name was Ben.
Oh yeah.
He's like, it's me now.
Not a big deal at all, but the Arabesh stuff, it's nothing really
High
that you wouldn't
treason.
expect it to say. Yeah, offenses, high treason, says wanted, says Obi-Wan Kenobi, says transmitting, and then bounty upon capture,
I guarantee at first they don't know he's around. Something tips them off or they see him in person. That's when they're like, send it out to the galaxy. And you'll see someone press that button with it transmitting.
What's the most recent picture of him? From an elevator in episode 3.
Good. Another thing we haven't mentioned, Purge Troopers.
Mm.
Purge Troopers from Jedi Fallen Order, now officially live action.
Very cool.
Are those the ones...
we speculated on that, I think, in a Ask the Resistance or Will of the Force. Like, will we see live action Purge Troopers because of Fallen
that's
Order?
right.
We were like, well, Purge Troopers are the troopers specifically designed for hunting Jedi. Maybe. And boom, in
Here
this
they are.
trailer,
Yeah.
Reva's walking with 2 Purge Troopers on her sides. And it's like, that is pretty awesome call out to other canon
Mm-hmm.
making the crossover.
I love it. Yeah, that's great.
You just lose your mind if Cameron Monaghan pops up in this show.
I think it would be cool. I don't know if I'd lose my mind.
It would be cool. I mean, it would do what we kind of always said about like Ahsoka dying in live action, or like what people said about the sequel trilogy. Like they could all got back together and defeated the First Order as a group. And it's like, no, if you're ever going to kill off these characters, which you have to, do it on screen, right?
Yeah.
It's like, that's the way to do it. So I think it's one of those things, like it would be cool if we got like the ability to see Cameron Monaghan's character, killed in live action, and that would kind of like end that story. But
What if
then
he
we still have
saves
all
Kenobi?
the stories. Yeah, that's kind of that thing.
That
Yeah.
would piss so many people off.
Why?
Yeah.
He ultimately saved
New
Kenobi to get
character
away.
from a video game saving the greatest Jedi of all time.
But if you
But
don't
I
know
think
he's
most
from a
people
video
wouldn't
game,
even
it's just
know he's
whatever.
a video game. Yeah.
No, I agree. But you know.
I think it would be cool.
I want. Oh yeah, I think it'd be cool too. I'm not saying I'd be pissed. I wonder. So, what do you guys think about the Owen Obi-Wan thing? Do you think they spot each other from across the street, or do you think Obi-Wan like follows Owen and he like tries to engage in the conversation, or do you think Owen catches Obi-Wan following him? Like, how do you think that's gonna go? Obviously, we're guessing, but it's just interesting to talk about.
Well, Obi-Wan's in the shadows in that clip, so he's clearly not out in the open. So I would.
Well, they're in like some sort of like market, like.
Yeah, but he's like, if you look at the shot, he's like back in the shadows a bit, like underneath an overhang, whereas Owen's kind of leaning against out in the open.
I feel like Obi-Wan, it has to be. So I think anytime we see him, he will be like this.
Mm-hmm.
I think something happened in the marketplace about 10 minutes before that.
I think the whole Inquisitor thing happened, and Obi-Wan saw it with
Oh,
that's a
Owen
good
there,
point.
and Owen knows obviously Obi-Wan's around, doesn't say anything. They leave. They're like, "We'll be back."
and Obi-Wan's like hiding in the market.
And he sees him, and he's just like, no, you're not training him. Like, look what you've caused, type thing. You need to stay away.
Or I was like, there has to be some reason that they're talking about training Luke at this point, whether Obi-Wan just saw him do something.
It's got to be the Inquisitors,
Force related
yeah.
or something, or he tried to give him something.
They probably don't get
and
into too much
Owen-
small talk.
But I think you're right on the sense that like coming out of that and Obi-Wan's like, those people are bad and we need to fight them, and that's why I need Luke. I need Luke to help me.
And Owen
He
just
needs
watched
to be
someone
trained.
get hung in front of everyone in the public
Yeah.
square. Like, no, you're not taking my son to do this.
Yeah, he's 10
Yeah.
years old. Get out
outta
of here,
here.
you crazy old wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wonder
I think we're figuring
if-
it out, and then we're gonna watch this. It's all wrong, like completely wrong order.
Also, don't
Nothing's
forget a big part of A New Hope is Beru disagreeing a lot with Owen.
It's crazy
And
we
saying,
haven't
like-
seen her yet.
I know, but I do think there's going to be like big Luke Beru moments for that reason, because she says to Owen, Luke's just not a farmer, Owen. And, she knows like that Luke has dreams and aspirations and stuff. I think she's going to disagree with Owen I think there's going to be like that sort of thing where she maybe is nicer to Obi-Wan than Owen is, and that sort of thing. That's one of my biggest question marks of this series is Beru, because I don't just want to see Beru ripping up lettuce in a food chopper in the kitchen. I want to see Beru with Luke. I want to see Beru with Owen. I want to see maybe even Beru have a discussion with Obi-Wan. I'm very curious to see what they do.
Drink
with,
some
with
resistance brew.
There you go. Free
No, I
plugs
agree with you.
for
I
ourselves.
think it would be important to show a little bit of that dynamic, especially since you didn't really get a lot of it in A New Hope, and you have the opportunity now to kind of fill in the gaps on the missing opportunities of like Luke and Beru really having a good conversation. But I was going to throw this out there too. There is one other shot in here that actually kind of bothers me a little bit. And as I stare at it long enough, I go, okay, I see what I'm looking at. But there's a shot of Reva getting off of a ship and headed inside this area, and it looks like a little dock area or whatever. And I can't not look at it every time and say that looks like an unfinished shot from the volume. It just looks like they...
Which shot?
So it's at the 35-second marker, if you have the trailer in front of you. 34 seconds or so, whatever. And I just... Every time it comes on screen, my immediate brain reaction is that's a behind the scene shot of the volume. And then I go, oh, no, it's not. That's a real shot in the show.
Are you talking about with the sky behind her?
Yeah, it looks like that's the screen, and then they just don't have anything on above her. And then I'm like, oh, but there is stuff above her, but those like TIE fighters and stuff just seem to blend in.
Yeah, you see that like pipe looking thing, and it looks like, I get what you're saying, the edge of the screen.
Yeah, it just looks like it like goes around, and it just reminds me of every behind the scenes shot we've ever seen if you just Google Mandalorian the volume.
I get what you're saying,
and it looks
but
like an unfinished shot to me.
But that's definitely the underside of a ship. I get what you're saying.
No.
It's the perspective shot of like
it's a hangar, but you're right.
Yeah, it does look like the edge of the screen. It's so weird.
And what I'm saying bothers me about it is like I'm watching and I'm like in the world, behind the scenes shot. No, wait, hold on, go back. What was? It takes me out. And it's not even like a conscious thing. I just see it and I go, that's the volume. No, it's not. It's like a weird reaction to it.
I know we're up against time, but one other element of the show that could be interesting if they want to bring in Palpatine is Palpatine could get in a situation where he dials up Vader on the hollow message thing, sort of like an Empire, and scolds him for being too obsessed with Kenobi when they should be looking for all the Jedi. And Vader may be just focused on Kenobi for personal reasons.
I mean, that's very possible.
Yeah,
like what if Vader is using all these resources just to get Kenobi, and that's affecting their hunt for other Jedi? There's a lot they can do with this series, and I like that we're so close to it and we don't frickin' know.
Yeah, I think there's a lot going on.
Yeah, the thing is like Palpatine is so interesting as a character that I don't know if he would look at it the way you're saying, or he would be like, yes, Kenobi, you want him, don't you? Kind of thing.
It's fueling the rage type thing. It is interesting, though, that all these shots, again, typical of Star Wars trailers, is seemingly from like 3 scenes. We have the bad guys talking in a thing. We have Dayu. We have Tatooine outside.
It's like set pieces.
Yeah,
we talked about that when we were like, are we going to see Coruscant? And I was like, no, because you have this set piece and this set piece.
Well, I was thinking
maybe a
more
third we
like
haven't seen.
These clips are all taken from 10-minute sequences out of a however long show. You know what I mean? So you're doing 6 1-hour-long episodes. They're pulling from 3 10-minute segments of those 6 hours. So it's like crazy because
What I was just saying about how that one shot like reminds me of the volume. Skip ahead like 30 seconds later, and there's another quick shot of that exact same set and almost moment. And it does the same thing there. It pulls me out. I'm like, oh, she's in the vault. No, she's not. But But it's weird because she landed there and she was like, it was as if she got back off a mission. And in this other shot, she's like deflecting something. So I don't know where they're at. My just initial thought looks like they're on that base that's coming out of the ocean, the Inquisitorius. That's where they're like landing in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then that means somebody's shooting at her on the Inquisitorius base.
I think that's her hand holding the droid, by the way. Reva's hand. Look at her gloved hands, and then look at the gloved hand holding it. I think that's her hand.
Could be. Yeah, could be.
I would put money on that. That's her hand.
But
how much?
Well, I feel like I
$10.
might be onto something here. That hangar that we were
drink
talking
at Celebration.
about. Yeah, there you go. That hangar we're talking about. Do you think that's the Inquisitorius base off of Mustafar? Like, like kind of over on that other planet?
Because of this.
Because she's
the stormy
fighting
sky. Yeah.
Yeah, she's fighting somebody there, deflecting bullets and stuff. So I'm like, what if Nanjiani's character is escaping Inquisitorius?
I think you're totally
he
right,
gets
James.
away,
I think
leads him to Tatooine, maybe.
Yeah,
I
think she's battling on that location because if you go to the beginning of the trailer, when those probe droids are being sent out, it's the same stormy sky. That's above her.
No, I know.
Yeah.
And that it seems like the same one where they're like, they're landing the ship.
Yep.
She gets off the ship in the other one. And then a few minutes later, she's battling someone. So that person has to be pro-rebellion.
Right.
On Inquisitoria, in that fortress.
Yeah.
So it's like somebody's either escaping or they're raiding that base. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. We've not seen anything teasing good guys in their secret base. I don't know.
Interesting.
Just thought it was kind of interesting.
And there's that scene, I think the only scene we ever really talked about is like Obi-Wan beating the crap out of a Zabrak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which some people are like,
where is he?
That's Flea. Like, who knows? But that looks a little bit like a prison hallway, too. Like, what if Obi-Wan has to free a certain somebody, which would be very similar to...
If that's the case, then the droid is there, too, because the droid... good guy droid looks like he's in the same location of that thing, but at the same time, that fight looks like it takes place on Daiyu.
Right, yeah. Well, so we'll see how wrong we are.
Yes.
In a few weeks. But either way, we love this stuff. It's just so fun to get the imagination going and speculate, and that's a big part of the hype that gets me excited about these types of movies or shows for Star Wars. So. I know we're up against time. We will talk much more about this in the next couple of weeks until we finally get to see the show. But let us know what you think about our theories, about our takes, and our excitement for what's about to happen here with this very hyped Disney Plus series, Obi-Wan Kenobi. All right, Lacey, we have another segment. What is it?
Yeah, so it is time for the Patreon pod race. So there are lots of ways you can support us. You can follow us on all the different audio apps, which shout out to Apple Podcasts for recommending us on May the 4th. That was awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Spotify, Google Play, whatever you'd like, as well as Twitter. At RBATSWNN. We're so close to 10,000 followers, so please help us over there, as well as Instagram at The Resistance Broadcast. And of course, here on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, because I know sometimes the algorithm gets a little wonky if you're not getting notifications. But if you want more than that, and you want to support what we're doing here, you want to be part of the Resistance, you can head over to patreon.com/resistance broadcast, starting at just $2 a month. That's it. $2 a month. You're a part of the Resistance, and you get exclusive videos, live streams, commentaries, what else? Polls, cool stuff. And as you go up the ranks, you get more access, including our exclusive Discord server and much more. So we want to thank our Generals and Spice Runners, our 2 top tiers. And this is part of the show that we let them take part. We ask them a question, they give us an answer. It's really fun. But before that, I want to say thank you to those people. So thank you to our generals: Carmelo, Jeremy Myers, John RISI, Jetta Rosewater, Paul Olson, Frank Grande, Darth Hurricane, John Chorlton, Nick Kratz, Christian Morales, Brian Smith, Matt Chitty, Danny, Mike Ramori, Matt Heath, Chris White, Brendan McLaughlin, and Val TRICHKOV. Thank you guys so much. And our Spice Runners: David PROBUS, Neil SHAH, Kendall GELNER, Ryan WAARA, Dave HORNAK, MICAH Harrison, Thomas HENNESSY, and Andrew STALEY. Thank you guys so much for keeping it spicy as our Spice Runners. And this week we have General Frank Grande. Frank. Love Frank. All right. So Frank's question was, we have had 23 episodes of live action Star Wars television between Mando and the Book of Boba Fett. In your opinion, what has been the best episode so far? Frank, take it away.
Hey everyone, how you doing? So what in my opinion is the best live action episode of Star Wars? It's a tough question. For me, it was a toss-up between the Book of Boba Fett episode, From the Desert Comes a Stranger, and the Mandalorian episode, The Rescue. And I thought about it really hard, but I gotta go with The Rescue. Because not only is it an action-packed thriller episode, not only was it the return of a young Jedi, Luke Skywalker, in his prime that we never really got to see before and that I waited all my life for, and not only were there no leaks, which just made the surprises 1,000 times better, but for me, if I'm being honest, this episode generally made me happy cry, probably for the first time in my life, because it reignited hope for me in Star Wars that anything can happen. Nothing is off the table, and it's just going to get better and better. I love this episode. I love all the episodes, and I love TRB. May the Force be with you. Take care.
Nicely done, Frank. Great job. You the best. John, what did you think of his answer?
I thought he might pick The Rescue because I just feel like it a lot of people's favorite episode just for the impact of Luke and all that stuff. But what I liked about what Frank said, and by the way, I love the art you have behind you, both Mando and speaking, maybe you put it there on purpose or stood there on purpose when you did this, but the Luke art from Mando is very cool. How you kind of said it instills hope in you due to the limitless nature of the future, what they can do, which is very exciting because when, we have an episode coming up on Thursday with Tom Spina, and we talk about, how technology is changing Star Wars and stuff. And you're right, they really can do almost anything. And what we saw in The Mandalorian Season 2 with that episode you love so much is already sort of dated in terms of the technology they use for Luke. So it's okay to cry when it comes to Star Wars. I've certainly done it. I did it sadly on the official Star Wars channel watching a trailer. So, but great job, Frank. You're a great Star Wars fan. I appreciate all the nice things you say about us, and awesome pick. I can't argue against it. So good job.
And James, what'd you think?
Everything John was saying, I kind of like the From the Desert Comes a Stranger choice, but I understand the going with the Rescue, considering everything they just said. I think that episode in particular really changed our, as you were saying, you're right, like changed just how we viewed Star Wars at that point, because everything was off back on the table kind of thing. It's like, oh my God, we can anything, so our minds were just like completely blown by that episode. And also just that other weird angle too of like them announcing Book of Boba Fett, and stuff, and it's like there was something tied to that where we were like, we don't even know. Is that the end of Mandalorian? I was very confused, and I remember talking to a lot of people being that and saying like, so what is the future? And I'm like, we don't know. It's Wild West right now, with it being so early in the Mandalorian and Star Wars television and everything. And now they're bringing these characters back, and Great time. It almost feels like that particular episode was the Force Awakens just released, and everybody's just like, what could it all mean? And we're all excited type of vibe. Yeah.
Right.
But good one. And thanks for doing the pod race as always.
Oh, that's me. Hey, Frank. How's it going? I was just so interested in his answer that I kept thinking about it. Great pod race. You're awesome. You're a great fan. We love having you here in the base. I really love the art, like John said. I happy cried along with you. I won't forget how I felt when that moment happened, because it was one of those things that I was like, they show you the ship and you're like, no. Then they show you the hand and you're like, no. Then they're showing you the belt buckle and you're like, there's no way. And like, even after they show you little glimpses, it's like your brain doesn't want to believe it. But I definitely was like, when his ship showed up, I stood up off the couch at like 3 a.m. I was standing there like I was like one of those guys in the bar that's like watching their sports game, that they're like, come on, let's go. Like just waiting for the touchdown or the basket or the home run to happen. That was me. And I definitely cried too. Like Luke Skywalker was my childhood hero, is my childhood hero. So it was just such a crazy thing to see him in his prime, like you said. So great answer. And now we're going to head back to John for something a little different.
All right. So we have a new segment on the podcast that we are calling The Chosen One.
You are the chosen one!
And what we're going to do here is each of us are going to bring a Star Wars item to the table to discuss. Now, this could be something about us, something about just a news item that we haven't talked about, that may be off the beaten path, maybe a rumor. It could be a toy. It could be a fan-related thing, which we used to do back in the day, or a viral video, really anything. And just talk about it for a minute or so. So, James, we're going to start with you, since in creating a new segment, you had to be forced to create new graphics and sound bites and stuff. So why don't you be the first to break the champagne bottle on the ship that is this segment called The Chosen One?
Yeah, I think the thing that is going on that like right now is the most interesting to me, and what's kind of like on my mind. And I think like, even though this is our show, like I'm being a little bit candid here. There was a period of time where me and Kyle were doing these book discussions like crazy. And then there was this little period of time, for whatever reason, where we were just like not able to connect with Del Rey, and everything kind of got lost in the mix, and we kind of put the whole thing on hold. And what is interesting to me is just recently, with the release of Brotherhood, which came out this week, they sent us copies, and they felt like it was a little bit back on the table, and me and Kyle, who have then passed on some of this, we didn't do one for the Final Thrawn. There's some High Republic books that we passed on. We got like this close to doing Ronin when everything fell apart, and we were like, oh well, we don't really know how to pursue with this. We wanted to do it just kind of like as fans, but it was just kind of a strange time. But with them sending us Brotherhood and stuff, and I've been re-listening to it, and I've been like, it's been a little while since I've like done the book thing again, and it was kind of like, I don't know. I've called them on a number of occasions and said, do we want to do it the way we were doing it, or do we want to try to spin it a little bit differently? And so I think we're in talks right now to kind of bring back the idea of book discussions and getting back on reading some of these novels.
People have been asking about them, so that's good.
Yeah, it comes up and saying like, I really liked these, and I was wondering if you guys were going to do more. And I'm kind of like, man, it's just like a weird period. It kind of in a weird way felt like they weren't interested in us doing them anymore, so it was a little strange for us, but
nice.
But yeah, but like I miss that aspect, and I feel the same way I felt in 2013 or 14 when I was back on with Star Wars, like, but I was like missing Rebels, I'm like, what is the show? And like, I'm seeing clips from it, and I'm like, oh, I can't take it. I need to know what this is, And so it's getting to me that there's like High Republic stuff out there that I'm not paying attention to. And I think one of the bigger things is we just want to take our time, and not them be like, oh, here's a copy of the book. It comes out tomorrow. And we're like, so, I'm reading this thing 13 hours straight to try to do a review for this, we just feel like we're just going to maybe take our time with it. So pending, but book discussions might be back on the table. And that's my thing that I wanted to bring to the table and discuss.
Very cool. Love Kyle. So I'm glad to see that our version of Simon and Garfunkel are getting back together on the Star Wars News Net YouTube channel. Lacey, you have an adorable story to share, I believe.
Yeah, so this is an interesting one for me because this past May the 4th was kind of special to me. It was the first one as a mom, and I have my baby. And she's, only 5 months. She's not old enough to really know what's going on. But May the 4th in general has always been a very special day to me. I got engaged on May the 4th. So this baby is just obviously the best thing that's ever happened to me. Sorry, Matt. But that being said, I had done the reaction video. Again, go check them out on YouTube. John and I did one. And it was just super fun. And we always do these. They're just one of those fun things to do. It's just to get that initial reaction and just be honest with your thoughts when you first watch it. Because there's nothing like the excitement of watching a trailer for the first time. So I was, it was the afternoon of May the 4th, and I was sitting there and we were getting ready for dinner, and I was like, you know what, let me just play it for Daisy and see what happens. So I put her down in her little baby chair. And I played the trailer for her. And the funny thing is I thought that she would just not even pay attention and she'd kind of tune out. But she was totally zoned in and reacted to things. And my favorite part is she does
what she called out the Purge Troopers?
No, she did this.
Oh, sorry. No, never mind.
She did this little squeak when Vader breathes. Vader breathes. And then she does this this little squeak. And it was just so cute. And it just reminded me that I'm in a different stage in my life and how important this franchise is to me and just being a parent now, and how much I can't wait to share it with my kids. Even if they don't even know what it is, I now have that video of her and I get to be later in life being remember that time? And she'll be no, I don't.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So it was just really fun, and my family was laughing at it. For the past week, I've been getting messages from friends and stuff about it. It was just something fun that I could just share. Because I'm pretty private at times, so it was nice to share a little something personal.
Nice. That's very cute.
Yeah.
And it's on your Twitter, right?
It is. It's on my Twitter account. Yes.
Very good. All right. So mine is, people have been asking us, and because it's around that time of year where we've been unfortunately having to do Make Solo 2 Happen Day because they haven't done it yet. How dare they? Joking. But we are going to Celebration, and it is around that time. We may do something later in the year for an online thing, but we're going to do a Make Solo 2 Happen meetup. So at Star Wars Celebration, we're thinking Friday. We're not sure on specifics on time because, this person's going this panel, this person's going this panel. We want the three of us there. With
they keep
everyone
randomly
else
dropping panels,
I
the
know.
Light and Magic thing. It's
ridiculous.
Oh, side note, Lawrence Kasdan doing a panel.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So that morning, I'm going to go to the Larry Kasdan and Ron Howard panel about their documentary that's coming out, and what better day to do it than that day. So we're eyeing Friday. We're going to lock down a time, but if you are going to Celebration and you would like to come hang out with us, take a group photo, celebrating our love for Solo with the Make Solo 2 Happen crew. Pack your shirts, your Make Solo 2 Happen shirts, if you have one. If not, go to our store and buy one. Do rush shipping, whatever you got to do. But either way, if you have your shirt, pack it, bring it. Yeah, Solo merch too. But if you have your Make Solo 2 Happen shirt, even better. But look, yeah, I'm wearing a Han Solo shirt. Whatever. But bring those shirts if you got them. And everyone who is showing up to the meetup with a Make Solo 2 Happen shirt on will get one of our Make Solo 2 Happen pins for free.
Mm-hmm.
So that is our plan for that. Very excited.
Possibly while supplies last, we might run out. I don't know.
Yeah, we might.
That's always an option. So maybe try to think about
Yeah, unless like 500 people show up, then not everyone.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's always possible that like we just run out. Sorry,
I never expect like, oh my god, 300 people are going to show up to take a photo. But anyway, if you're at Celebration
but that would
on
be
Friday,
awesome.
That would be amazing. Yeah, and they would definitely hear our voices for sure that day. But we'll iron out a time and let you know when we're going to do it. But Friday is what we're looking at. And again, it'll be at the convention. So if you're there, we'll find a good spot to do it. That'll be our sort of meetup for the day. If you got the Make Solo 2 Happen shirt, bring it. Other solo stuff, bring it, and we'll have some fun celebrating Solo and letting them know that people would love to see those characters return, especially Jonas, who's going to be at Celebration all 4 days, and of course Alden Ehrenreich is Han Solo. So that's our plan. We'll give you more details on what we're doing specifically with time and stuff. But if you're at Celebration Friday, we hope to see you join us at the Make Solo 2 Happen meetup. So that is it. We hope you enjoyed this new segment, The Chosen One. We're going to bring that in every once in a while, but that is the end of the show. So we want to thank everybody for listening and watching and being a part of TRB. Make sure you subscribe, like Lacey said, your preferred platform, whether it's audio or the channel or both. And make sure you go to StarWarsNewsNet.com for all of your Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. You can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey, writing and editing at Star Wars Newsnet, and I have a movie podcast where I don't talk about Star Wars. I talk about movies I grew up with and love, called Just Like the Movies, available free on your favorite podcast app. James.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Myra Trunks, as always.
Right, and eventually book discussions.
Yeah, hopefully.
Lacey.
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gilleran. And Friday at Star Wars Celebration at 1:30 on the fan stage.
Yes. And on our YouTube channel doing reactions to the Kenobi trailer.
Correct.
That is correct.
All those places.
Yes. So thank you, everybody. Thursday, we're back to just 2 episodes a week. I apologize.
For now,
Thursday,
until 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
What's 2 weeks from now?
Celebration.
Oh, yeah, we're probably going to do a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
We got to get some sleep. But Thursday, we're going to be joined by Tom Spina. Tom Spina designs Regal Robot. I have a feeling it's going to be a really good time. And we did a special video with him that we're going to be putting out later that afternoon with some details on stuff coming up from them at Star Wars Celebration. He's going to be at Star Wars Celebration with his whole team. And be sure to go check out their booth. But be sure to check out our episode with Tom Spina on Thursday. We're very excited to have him on the show, and you're going to absolutely love it because it's a long episode too. So we're not giving you 3 episodes, but we are giving you long episodes. But we hope you enjoy your weeks, and we'll see you Thursday morning with another episode right here on the Resistance broadcast. We'll see you around, kids.